everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're happy that you were able to take some time to join us today with our interview with Chris Harper, one of our certified medical revenue managers. We're going to get this thing kicked off and bring Chris on here shortly. I am going to start my video, and I'm going to let you know that it's really me. I'm really here. This is not a recording. This is live. We're doing it live. I'd like to know that I'm being heard. If you guys have been on webinars before, you know that we like to know that we're being heard. Let's see. We've got people coming in here. We've got Dominic. We've got Alex, Hari, Harrison. Kiki is here, Nevin is here. All right, so people are coming in, and I'm going to switch to this next slide here, and it says, hey, if you hear nothing, turn up your speakers or dial in. You actually, whenever you signed up for this webinar, Zoom sent you a link, but they also sent you a phone number. So if for some reason your audio is weird, you can dial in on that phone number that they sent. But if you can hear me, look for that little chat button, if you would, and just type in the chat and say you can hear me. Alex says yes. All right. Kiki, yes. Everybody can hear me. Good. Dominic says yes. All right. Thank you very much for that feedback there. Appreciate that. So it's good to know I'm coming in loud and clear. This webinar is being recorded, and we will be posting this up on our website like always. And if you would like to get a recording of it, you can email the person that invited you to this webinar, and they can send you a recording. We usually get those posted up tomorrow, sometime on Thursdays. So I am Adam Phillips. I am the CEO of American Business Systems. I've been doing this for a long time. I came on board about 17 years ago now, and I came from a mortgage background. I was in the subprime lending market in 2008. So all that stuff that happened, that was my fault. Sorry about that. Apologies. But I got out of that as fast as I could, and I started helping my father and my parents out with this business. And I have enjoyed working in a family business so much, and I've enjoyed being out of the corporate world so much. And I hope that for all of you on this webinar as well, that you can have more freedom and more time to spend with your family and work from home or wherever you want to, work your own hours, be your own boss. Bosses are overrated, you know? So that's what we want to help you do. We want to help you launch your own business and enjoy life a little bit more. So what do we got here? We've got a slide that's telling about some stuff that I've done. I've done some books recently. I've put together some books, 10 critical questions for physicians in private practice. I wrote the foreword to that book. That was in partnership with one of our partners, Dr. Vicki Rackner. We've done several webinars with her. You may have seen. If not, you want to go back and look at those, because she's an excellent resource for learning how to market yourself to doctors. That's very important to know how to do that. My brand new book that I just released is called 9 Ways Doctors Let Money Slip Through Their Fingers. And it is a marketing tool. This book is a marketing tool that you can use to present to doctors so that you can build your credibility in the industry and get them to trust you and want to work with you and do business with you. That's what this is all about. So that's the latest book. We actually have several other books that I can talk about later that are doing the same thing. They're used as a tool that we give to you to give to doctors so that it builds your credibility and you become an expert very quickly in the industry. So it's pretty neat. I was recently interviewed on a podcast, a Supreme Leadership podcast. So if you want to go check that out, there's a little screenshot of it right there. That was a great interview. Had a good time on that one. Let's talk about American Business Systems. We are a 27-year-old company. We started in 1994. We're about to be in our 28th year coming up here soon. So we're pretty excited. We are the nation's largest network of independent revenue cycle management companies. And when you become an owner of one of our owners, a licensee, if you will, you become a part of that network, and you're able to utilize that network and let people know that you have medical offices. We have offices all over the country that are able to process thousands of medical claims for doctors on a daily basis. And, we can provide all kinds of resources for you to use to promote yourself and promote your company. So it really, right out of the gate, as soon as you finish the training with us, you are able to become seen as a much, much bigger, more established company. And that's what's going to give you the edge by far in this industry. We also are very proud of our cloud-based integrated platforms that we have that, if you haven't seen, you definitely want to get a demo of how our systems work. So our system is iClaim and EMRX. These are platforms that the doctors use. They're platforms that you use to do the medical billing work. There's a patient portal that the patients can log into. There's all kinds of features that the front office staff can use as well. And these are integral to you helping the doctors improve their revenue. We've seen massive improvements in doctors' revenue simply by switching to these integrated platforms that we have. So if you want a demo of that, definitely get back with us, and we can set that up for you. When you finish your training with us, we actually certify you as what we call a certified medical revenue manager. This is the certificate. This is what it looks like. It's actually a designation that has accreditation through a program, a company that we founded called MIRMA, the Medical Revenue Management Association of America. This entity was formed to help you be able to, again, build your credibility with the doctors and let them know that you do have a certification through a company that is teaching people how to do revenue cycle management for doctors. This is kind of an example of the many services that we have to offer. For those of you who haven't been on a webinar before, we have many, many different services and solutions that we can offer to medical practices. And it all kind of depends on what their needs are. And so we actually show you how to do a full analysis, a free consultation that's very easy to do, but it helps you and the doctors kind of understand where their trouble spots are, what their costs are, and help identify ways that you can help them. And these are some of the services that we have. And if we have time, we'll get into some of those today. But just a little bit more about the company. I mentioned that it was founded by my parents. There's a picture of my smiling, happy parents there. They founded the company in 1994, but prior to that, in the 80s, they were actually doing, they had their own billing company under a different name. So ABS didn't exist yet, but they were doing medical billing on their own and doing it from home. And here's a picture of kind of around the era when they started doing billing for doctors. I mean, it's the 80s, folks. I don't know if you can read that picture there. That's me. That's that little smiling kid. That's me. Apparently I had some kind of license to just lounge around. I don't know. My shirt says I'm licensed to lounge. I don't know what that means, but I was a pretty chill kid. So I guess I was just lounging around a lot. But that was just kind of, we took that at, that was when we went to Universal Studios. We took our first really big vacation because they actually started making some money for once, and we were able to take a vacation. So that was really cool. But anyway, they formed ABS in 1994, and we've never been happier. We've never looked back. We've been growing ever since. Our licensee base has been growing all over the country. We have about 450 active owners marketing their business all over the country. So we're just really proud with where we have come, throughout the years and where we've gotten to, and the sky's the limit. I mean, we're looking to continue growing as much as we can, and helping other people come on board and be successful, just like many of our other owners have done. And hopefully people on this webinar, hopefully you can be one of those. Let's see if we got any questions coming in. No, we don't. We just have Dominic saying I can hear you. Okay, great. I did click on the Q&A button, and I'm going to mention that again here in a moment. If you have any questions at all for me, if you have any questions at all for Chris, just type in that Q&A box, anything you want. and we will answer those questions as we get to them. Peter says, hi, Chris. All right, so let's see what we got here. We are doing, oh, this is the slide I was talking about. Ask us anything. Type your questions into the Q&A box. So down at the bottom of your Zoom bar, somewhere down there, there's a little Q&A box. Type that in. If you type in the chat, I may read it, I may not, I may miss it, I don't know, but type it in the Q&A if you can. All right, so we've been talking about Chris. I don't know if you can, there may be a small hint in that picture of where he's from there. See if you can guess where he's from looking at the picture. But what I'd like to do now is I'd like to go ahead and bring him on and see if his video and mic are working. So Chris, if you're there, why don't you just jump on in? Let's see if we can get the video working here. I'm going to send you.
You need to start my video.
Okay, I sent you a request to start your video. Let's see if that works.
Let's see.
There we go.
Got it?
There we go. There he is. Hey. Hey. So yeah, so Chris said that he is on an, what did you say, an ancient laptop or something?
Ancient. I mean, literally. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's hope it stays connected. And let's do this. So thank you so much for joining us. So yeah, I mean, in that picture, that's a picture of you at your graduation.
Yeah, that's right.
Which was how long ago was that? When did you do that?
December 2017.
2017. Okay. And that was back when we were flying people all over the country into a training session at a hotel in Dallas.
Yeah.
And we have gone completely virtual now, which I think you know that.
That's what I heard, yeah. Yeah,
so we actually did that before the pandemic, before we even knew there was going to be a pandemic. You know, no one knew that was coming, but we decided to try it. We actually decided to try going virtual offices as well. So we got rid of our offices. We went to virtual training, which my father did not like that idea. He said, he was like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. And I said, no, trust me, it's going to work. It's going to work. Yeah. And lo and behold, we've been training people virtually for a couple of years now, and it's been going really, really well. And I mean, you mentioned, you know, if anybody mentions going to a live, you know, face-to-face training, it's like, ooh, face-to-face, I got to go to Dallas and face-to-face. And I interviewed a couple the other day that just graduated our program, and they said they were looking at some other franchise, and they're in California, and they would have had to fly to New York to do their training for like 2 weeks in New York. And they were just like, yeah, we didn't like that idea at all. So the virtual thing's been going well. So
good.
Well, let's go ahead and start out with some questions here. If you would just kind of share with folks, well, you said you went to the training in 2017.
I did.
So what was your kind of business background and experience before coming on board with us?
Sure. So, you know, years ago, I was in a family business and manufacturing. So I had a little bit of the family business background with that. And from there, I had gotten into medical device sales. You know, I spent about 8 years selling devices, and you know, decided that, you know, like you said, bosses are overrated. I kind of decided I wanted to get back to being on my own, you know, working on my own, and decided to make a switch. And I kind of was just looking at some franchise websites, and this one popped up, and I thought, you know, that's kind of in my wheelhouse. I'm a little bit of a, you know, an accountant at heart, right? Not trained, but it's in me. And you know, I've got the medical background, so I thought this is right in my wheelhouse, you know. And literally I saw it, and about 4 or 5 weeks later I was in Texas.
Oh wow.
Decision for me. But yeah, and I want to point out, because I know you know, anybody who's watching this interview is going to say, oh, he had, you know, connections, because he sold medical.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So he had connections. He got, you know, this is what would have helped him get started. Those relationships didn't help me one bit. The clients that I have, I did not have any prior relationship to. They weren't, you know, They didn't hear about me from somebody that I had a relationship with. So that literally, because I thought too, oh, I know all these doctors. This would be great. And I got out here, and the problem with that was that they all knew how new I was at this, right? So they
Yeah.
were thinking, no, I'm not gonna. I'm billing to this guy. He's brand new, right?
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was my thought. Is it seemed like that would be a distinct advantage, but you feel like it wasn't at
Didn't
all.
help me one bit. I had to just get out there and pound the pavement and find that client. So,
Well, so before we get into your first client, did you look at any other opportunities, or what about the ABS model really stuck out?
yeah, so the thing I liked about ABS was I obviously had some phone calls with, actually it was your sister at the time, was is who I was talking to, my contact at ABS, and had some conversations with her, had some conversations with licensees. And I'm looking at this going, I may kind of consider myself to be accountant minded, right?
Mhm.
But I don't know medical billing. So talking with the other licensees, the level of support that they all spoke to, was something that resonated with me, because I'm going to get into this and I'm going to need some, because I'm starting from scratch. So that was something that really stood out for me, that and I can tell you that having gone through it now, the support is probably the single greatest attribute to yes, is just the fact that whenever I had a question, I spoke with somebody that had the answers. Never told, hey, you've reached your limit on support, right? Now you got to start paying for it. Nothing like that. So you guys were really there to kind of hold my hand through the beginning, and help me, get on my feet.
Yeah, we have a competitor that charges for support after first couple of years, and we
Yeah,
we just decided, you know what, in order for people to be successful, first of all, they need all of the products and services that we have. We don't have any different little packages, different price packages or anything. And then we decided several years ago that it just makes sense to offer lifetime support for free, because we actually have a vested interest. We make a little bit of money when you put a doctor onto the software platform that we have. So we want to do whatever we can, as long as you're a licensee. We want to do whatever we can to help you get that business.
yeah,
So um, yeah, that's good stuff.
yeah.
Let's
Great.
see. What was I gonna? I had a question in mind. So let's talk about where your business is today. Well, let's talk about that first client. I mean, everybody, that's their biggest fear is, what if I don't get clients? How do I get clients? We actually have a comment from Peter Smith right now that says, we started our new medical billing company and we're having problems in sales and marketing. Could you please guide us on how we can grow? I'd love to take guidance from you guys.
Yep.
So why don't you share with everybody kind of how you got that first client, how long it took, and all that?
Yeah, and what's funny is I've been on some webinars before, after I became a licensee, and I've asked that type of question, like, okay, this person is really building their business. What is their process, right? And I
Mhm.
never get the answer. So I'm going to tell you exactly what my process is, and anybody on this webinar is welcome to laugh at it and tell me, "Oh my God, this guy's crazy. That's not efficient at all." I'm just going to tell you what worked for me, and how, what I'm wired for, right? Like, this is just what makes sense to me. And somebody else will probably have a much more efficient way of doing it, but I'm going to tell you exactly what my process is.
All right, get out your pen and paper, Peter. Here we go.
It's not rocket science. It's kind of archaic, probably. It's like, a lot of people will tell you, oh, you should really market yourself on LinkedIn and build your brand and all that. And that's not how I'm wired, right? I'm more wired for an old school kind of tactics. So the first client, it took me, it was 8 months to get my first client. Um, so but I'll back up a little bit and tell you, I almost got my first client in my first day.
What?
Literally, I was selling medical devices. I finished up at a hospital, and I said, all right, this was in January. I spent the rest of December after training setting up my business cards, phone, uh, mailbox, all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
And January 3rd, I went back to work after New Year's, and I decided, okay, you know what? Every doctor's office I drive past, my way home from this hospital, I'm walking into. And literally the third one that I walked into, I was able to set up, not right away. I had a conversation with them, and they let me know that the doctor was having issues with his billing. So I followed up with the office manager, and I was able to set up a meeting with the doctor. And when I walked in and had that conversation with the doctor, it was going pretty good. And then I started to stumble a little bit when he started asking me, like, how long have I been doing this, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And he, basically said, all right, I can't give you my billing. You're too new, right?
Hmm.
And I said, okay, and I kind of backtracked a little bit, but by then I had already sort of killed the deal on my own, right? So what I walked away from that with, understanding of how I needed to frame this conversation better, to let these doctors know that they're not going with somebody who's brand new to this. I've got a group behind me that is going to be helping me every step of the way, and the conversation goes a little bit different than that, but that's the gist of it, is that I've got people, right? and
Right.
and and this is where the confidence comes from. So I didn't get that guy, and then it was 8 months, before I got my next client. And the way that worked is I walked into this guy's office, and the office manager said, nope, we have in-house billing, we're all set, right? I'm
Right.
pretty new at that point, and I grab the business card. This is what I do. This is part of my archaic approach. I grab a business card, right? I
Mm-hmm.
write on the back of it who I spoke with, what the date is, and I literally wrote on there, probably not a target, right?
Hmm.
Um, Maybe 3 months later, 2 months later, I get a phone call from another office that I had gone into, and they said, hey, I just wanted to let you know, I just passed your information on to Dr. So-and-so. They're looking for a biller. And I said, they're looking for a biller? I was in there, I think it was about 6 weeks prior. I was in there about 6 weeks ago, and they told me they were all set. And she said, well, the biller's retiring, and so they're looking.
Hmm.
So, so I called right away. I About 2 days later, it was I spoke with him on a Friday. Next Monday, I met with the doctor. By Wednesday, we had a signed contract. So it went really fast.
Wow.
And at that point, now I've got my first client, right? So what happens at that point? I go through the setup, the software implementation, and everything set up. And I go in, and he still works on paper claims, right?
Hmm.
So I walk in, I pick up my first stack of claims, I get back to my office at home, and I look at the first claim, and I don't have a clue what to do with it, right? I'm looking at it going, this box right here, I expected to see a check mark or an X or something, and there's a number in it. What am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah.
So called ABS support, told them, my situation. They set me up with a coaching call, and that coach walked me through everything that we needed to go through that first day. I think it was about an hour and a half on the phone, and got me going, right?
Yeah.
And throughout the remainder of that week, I wrote down whatever questions I had, and uh, um, I wrote down all my questions, and then I set up another call. And then we went through all those questions, and we did a series of these, until I was up to speed and I didn't have these questions all the time. And so that was instrumental in me start. But to back up a little bit, one of the things I learned at training was to offer a referral reward, right? So every office I go into, I hand them some information about my company, and I hand them some information about my referral reward. I offer a $500 referral reward. If you pass my information along to somebody, or you pass their information to me, I sign them up as a billing client, $500 gift card, right?
Wow. Okay.
And that was why that office sent my information over to the office I had already been into and already told no. They sent my information over there because they knew I had that referral reward.
Oh, I see.
That's how I got that first client.
Okay.
So I said that I was going to tell you my process. One of the things that I've been telling licensees that pose the question, whether it's on the Facebook group or get a phone call and they have a question or something, is my recommendation is that you pick 10-mile radius from where you live. Depending on where you live. If you're out in the country, I have to expand that radius. But for me, I can take a 10-mile radius, and there's probably, I don't know, 50 doctor's offices in that radius, probably more. But I make sure I go into those offices every 6 to 8 weeks, because nothing's worse than going into an office, not showing up for a while, and going back and finding out they made a change. Right?
Right.
You missed it. So I make sure I go into, or now I've started doing some phone calls too, because with COVID, a lot of offices didn't want people walking in. So I sort of started doing a lot of my follow-up by phone. And by doing that, you can get in front of these people. They're more likely to remember you, the more touches that you have. And have a good opportunity of hearing about it, or you find out that they made a switch, and you can get in there and have that conversation.
Right. Now, these business cards that you're grabbing, are you using like a CRM of sorts to put them in there, like a lead management kind of deal, or?
I started, and it just I just
You're too old school for
I
that?
was too old school for it. So now I've got notes, and I keep notes, and I write down the dates, of every time I have contact with them, and what we talked about and what we said. And I know I should take the time and make a CRM system work for me. I like my old school roots.
You're putting them in your Rolodex at least?
Not even. They're literally rubber banded together. See, I'm not afraid to show, like, how ridiculous all this is, but this is where my head goes. But I literally have them rubber banded together by geography. So I know, like,
Okay.
for everybody in this city, I had that stack, and I started going through them.
Well, you're doing something right.
Well, it's on its way a little bit, right? It takes a little bit of time, but the thing I want to say to that, though, is that say it takes time. If you get the right client, it can happen very fast. I had one that I almost got, that we were missing one piece of functionality with the software that now we have a solution for, and that was a deal killer for them. This that I got them would have paid me more than I made ever selling medical devices, right? I mean, that one office would have really set me up well. And then at that point you're looking at everybody going, man, this is easy. It's a piece of cake. But
Yeah.
the point is, though, if you happen to get that one office, it can be pretty easy transition to starting your business and getting it going.
Right.
But it all depends on what you get and kind of how your path goes. At the beginning, for me, I kind of take whatever I can get my hands on, because I'm just trying to get experience in my business.
I just stopped sharing my slides, so hopefully I think our videos are full screen for folks. If anything looks weird, everybody just let me know, but I think we're good. Going back to that 8 months thing, were you working your other job still? Are you still doing that other job at all? Or when did
No,
that?
I'm not. I was working the other job for the first probably 5 months of it.
Okay. Okay. So that
I
makes a little
just
bit more sense.
probably 5 to 6 months of it. And then I decided to go full bore into billing.
Gotcha. That makes a little bit more sense now, the 8 month thing, because it is quite a bit tougher to juggle two jobs. I mean, we certainly can show people how to market this business part-time.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, would you kind of consider it was almost part-time in the beginning?
Yeah, I would say part time, and I think it's very doable. If you get one off, one client that's one provider, that's very doable outside of another job.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
a to get your experience.
Right, right. Yeah, just so I mean, we could effectively say you went full time and then you got a client in 3 months or something. Yeah.
Probably like two.
Yeah, 2 months. Okay. That makes more sense now. But yeah, I mean that happens for some folks. I mean, we have a lot of interviews on YouTube that they're doing really, really well, but they're like, yeah, it took me 6, 7, 8 months to get my first client. You know, it takes a while to get your name out there and
Yeah.
kind of build your brand, build your company and
Yeah.
all that. But I mean, as long as you stick with our marketing plan and do it as we teach it, or go old school or whatever, then then you're
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
So speaking of old school, do you not really, I mean, do you utilize any kind of drip marketing with email or mail outs or any of that stuff?
Yeah, so not in organized fashion. I do email a number of practices that I'm targeting, to stay in front of them. I don't have it on auto feed or anything like
Okay.
that. But yeah, it's things that I should look into. The issue is I've got a handful of clients now, and I'm extremely busy with that because I haven't hired anybody yet. So some of those things kind of go by the wayside. They're still very important, but until I get to that certain point where I decide, okay, it's time to bring somebody else in, um, that would then I would probably be freed up to kind of do some of that other stuff, like
Gotcha. Yeah. So
turn out drip feed
yeah.
marketing.
So you're just doing manual, you have some kind of tickler file of some sort, and you're like, all right, I got to email this guy, this girl, and you just do it manually. Well, yeah, I mean, I would hope that we could get that more automated for you at some point, but
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So Shirley is asking, sorry, when did he start? He started in 2017, Shirley. That's when he went through the training. But as you just heard us say, he was working another job for several months, and then when he finally quit that job, basically he got his first client in a matter of a couple of months after doing that. And also she said, does he do it himself? Yes, he's doing it all himself. So let's talk about where you're at now in terms of how many clients you have. How long does it take you to do all of the work? And so you are doing all of the business development, you're doing all the claim processing yourself. You really kind of rolled up your sleeves, you're doing it all. Tell us where you're at with how many clients and all that.
I've got 4 offices now. It's providers. The one office is 4 providers, which is a smaller volume office. So it's not like I've got 8 providers that are really going full tilt at it.
Mm,
Because if I had 8 very busy providers, I wouldn't be able to do it on my own.
right.
Um, I've got 4 offices now, a mix of specialties. I've got neurology, I've got internal medicine, urgent care. So that's the mix right now, which is nice because it opens up more opportunities when people say, "Well, have you ever done internal medicine?" No, yeah, I have. Have you ever done? I've got an urgent care that I own. Have you ever done urgent care? I have. Right.
Yeah.
So it's nice having a little bit of a mix. I'm hoping to get into surgical billing quick here. got some potential opportunities with that. So,
Okay.
but yeah, that's my mix, and so I'm doing it. It's full time. I'm very busy from an hours standpoint. I'm definitely working full days.
Was it every couple of months that you would get a new client after that first one, or it just kind of just kind of varied?
Yeah, so I took, a step forward, a step back. You and I talked about it briefly, but
Yeah.
I had that first client, and then that first client is a neurologist, and coincidentally, purely coincidentally, I picked up another neurologist about 3 months later. Um, and that was another good pickup. And then he was part of a very large medical group, and he was in an office by himself, large office by himself. So to cut down on the overhead, they decided to move him into an existing office with other doctors. And that group that he moved into owned a billing company.
Hmm.
And so at that point, I lost him, and they brought his billing in-house for obvious reasons.
That
That
was your very first client?
was my second one.
Second client. He ended up going and working for a large hospital group.
Just a large medical group. It's independent
Never.
of the hospital, but it's like a 350 doctor group, all
Yeah.
made up of individual offices.
So it wasn't his choice. They're doing the billing, and he's like, "Sorry, I can't. I have to do
Yeah,
what they want to do." Yeah.
he when he went to that group, he became an employee of that group. So once he moved in, they said, okay, this is our billing company. You're gonna do your billing now.
Yeah.
So I lost him, but since then he's come back. So
Yeah. This is
he,
the part of the story that I wanted you to tell. This is the cool part. So what happened?
yeah. So listen, he said I did a great job for him, and he liked working with me. He just, his hands were tied at that point. He had to take his billing to that other company because he was moving offices. And so I got a call from him one day, and he said, I've made the decision to leave that medical group. He didn't like going on there. They always very muddy about how much they were paying him, because they
Hmm.
were telling him that your revenue's way down, and he was saying, well, but my volume is the same. How's my revenue way down? And there was, it was I was pulling my hair out when I was doing his billing, because he was already part of that group when I was doing his, and
Oh,
there was a lot of payments that I'd spend hours on sites looking up claims that had been paid, but the payment wasn't sent to me, right?
hmm.
The remittance. And so I was telling him, I don't know. They're telling you that your revenue's way down, but if your volume's the same, I'm not so sure they know who's getting paid for what, right? Because they're not sending me these remittances.
Yeah.
He finally got fed up with it, and left that medical group, started as a brand new practice from scratch again. And he said, I'm done with them in a month. I want you to do my billing. So,
Hmm.
so he came back, got him going, and now we're up and running again. This all just transpired maybe 5 months ago.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, when we hopped on here today, you told me that story. I didn't realize he had come back, and that's so very cool to hear because we're actually hearing that from many of our other owners. There's a lot of doctors that have been, gone and worked for a hospital
Yeah,
because the private practice is really hard to run.
yeah,
But then they go and end up being an employee, and they get their hours dictated to them and their wages, and they get fed up with that. So we're seeing a trend, like you said, we're
yeah,
seeing a trend where doctors are like, you know what, I'm done with this working for this group. I want to do my own thing, and they have to go back. But then the problem is like you said, this guy had to just start from scratch and start his private practice all over again.
sure.
But luckily, he knew that you were already a phone call away, and you could take care of a lot of the stuff that he didn't have to hassle with. So that's really cool.
Yep. Let him
Um,
focus on his patients, and we'll take care of the office part of it, right?
yeah, exactly. Couple of questions. Dominic is asking, What were Chris's initial monthly expenses while trying to bring on new customers? Did you have much of a monthly expense there?
So they're minimal because, you know, phone service, right?
Yeah.
Mailbox. Um, so your expenses are pretty minimal. You're not paying anything for software or anything like that, unless you decide to go with the CRM, you know, and get that going right away.
Yeah.
But no, I'm sorry, expenses were very minimal, you know, until you kind of get started.
Yeah, Dominic, we have a research guide that actually gives you a page of some potential costs that you might have, like setting up your entity and basic home office type stuff. And so you could check that out. It'll give you a good idea, but it's very, very minimal. There's no, there's no office space, there's no retail space, there's no product to stock, none of that kind of stuff. Let's see here. Okay, we just answered that one. Shirley says, was he in the medical field? Yes, he was selling medical devices, but he said that really didn't, he felt like that didn't give him much of an advantage at all. Let's see, Harrison is asking, with 4 clients, are you just doing billing for them, or have you expanded to other solutions you can offer to the offices? Also, what do you see on average per office in revenue? You don't have to share any numbers or anything, but that was Harrison's question. So are you doing anything outside of billing, any other services?
Yeah, so I'm not. But you know, with it comes collections and credit card processing and, you know, some of those other services. So
Yeah.
so you know, but really billing is the bread and butter of it.
You're not doing the collections though, right?
No, I'm outsourcing the collections.
Right. There's a module built into iClaim
Yeah.
where it takes care of that if the doctors want to utilize that, right?
But there is a small, you know, fee that you receive for you know, outsourcing the collections and outsourcing the merchant services. And
Right, right. Okay. Let's see. I know that you got to run.
just to expand on that real quick,
Yeah.
it's not to say that there aren't opportunities. It depends on your offices. You
Mhm.
know, so there's webinars all the time about other services offering. So if you have an office that has remote patient monitoring needs, that's another opportunity, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, my offices haven't really had much of a need for that, but um, you know, there definitely are other opportunities if you find.
Yeah, when you do the initial consultation and we give you a practice analysis sheet that kind of gives you some questions to ask. That's part of that is you can help kind of dig in and identify other services that they might need, and you can put that into your proposal and such. So, but yeah, I mean, really, the bread and butter service is the medical billing. I mean, let's be honest, that's the one where you're making the most money. So,
And you know, just to touch on the pay side of it, without getting into details, I would say that the numbers that ABS told me were pretty accurate.
in terms of revenue per doctor.
Yeah.
Yes. Are you charging what's your percentage roughly for your different clients? Or are you charging a percentage?
It depends. That first client I got, he told me the percentage. He told me he said, I have another biller that's willing to do it for this. And it was 4.5%.
Oh,
Well, no, but you say, ooh, but hang on a second. It was 4.5%. And you know, I looked at him and I thought what's going through my head is you're full of it. You don't have another biller that gave you that percentage. You're just telling me that's what you want. And I said, but this is my first potential client, right? And so I said, all right. I said, I can match that. Would you be willing to give me the business? And he said, yeah, if you can match that, I'll give you the business. Done, right? I calculated when I take, so he's a paper chart guy. So he's only practice management. So he's only iClaim. When I take out the software expense, he does an incredible volume, and he does some very high dollar procedures in his office testing, and so uh, I'm going with this. So that percentage, when I take out the software expense, I'm making like $70 an hour my time.
Wow. Okay.
0.5% sounds very low. And then the other kicker about this guy, this was my first client. This was the one where the office manager told me we're all set. We have a biller, right?
Okay. Yeah.
When he told me what his annual revenue was when we had our first practice analysis meeting.
Uh-huh.
The first full calendar year that I had his business, his revenue was $250,000 more. So
Because of you.
not taking responsibility for all that.
Okay.
But what I am saying is that my services are free to him because of the amount of revenue that I have brought in, more than covers my costs. Because he had, I was going to him when I first started saying, hey, he's this testing, requires these diagnosis codes. So if these patients don't have these diagnoses, this testing isn't going to get paid. And he said, well, how come she never came to me with any of this? And I said, well, your office manager said that she spent the last week shredding documents the entire time. So she wasn't following up on any denied claims. She, anything that would have required a little extra time or was difficult, she just put it in a stack and kept going with the claims, the new claims that were coming in, and kept trying to get those first claim hits, right? And and so he was losing a ton of money, and he had her for over 10 years. And the money that he missed out on is staggering.
Wow. Yeah, we hear that time and time again. We hear that everybody thinks medical practices are just so smooth and perfect, and they're not. They're a disaster most of the time because doctors are not good business people. They don't know how to manage it.
Yeah, and what I found too is that virtually every office is having some sort of a billing issue. It's a matter of whether or not they've accepted it and they're complacent with it because of the fear of, I make a change, maybe it's going to get worse, right?
Yep.
So that's really where it stands is making them comfortable that you're going to do better, not worse, right? Because they're all having some sort of billing.
Yeah, it's a matter of educating them on what it's really costing them trying to track down all their money, and how much, they just don't realize how much it costs to collect a dollar these days.
Yeah.
So yeah, when they see the analysis and they see, oh, I can pay, 25 grand to Chris a year to get this done, and I'm paying somebody in-house 30, 35 a year to do it, and they're not nearly as motivated. They're shredding stuff, and because their salary doesn't change. You're like, hey, I get paid a percentage of what you ultimately collect, so I'm going to go to bat for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's great. Well, I know that you got to run. I appreciate your time. That hour went by quick. I guess I've got one last question. I mean, you don't have to give any specific numbers or anything, but have you matched, your previous salary at your previous job? Have you matched it? Are you close to it? Exceeded it?
I'm getting pretty close.
Getting pretty close.
Pretty close. Yep.
Okay.
I've got one office that's got some issues that I'm dealing with. But, replace that one with another one that's kind of on par with the other offices that I have, and I'd be pretty much right where I was.
Awesome. Well, let me know what we can do to help you get there, man. We want to do whatever we can. So reach out to support and let's make it happen.
Yeah, I appreciate it very much. Thanks.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time today, Chris. I've got a few more slides I'm going to go through here, folks, but Chris, thank you very much. I'll go ahead and see if I can turn off your video here, unless you can find the button.
Yeah, I think I'm about to do it. All right. Have a good one. I appreciate it.
All right. Appreciate it, Chris. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye. All
right, folks, just a couple more slides here. I wanted to tell you that we are the only company of our kind that's offering a 100% money back guarantee. For those of you, this is your first webinar. We basically let you evaluate the entire training and go through the entire training and decide at that point, you'll be able to see the good, the bad, and the ugly, about this business in this model. So if you go through the training and at the end of the class, you feel like, what, this isn't what I thought it was, you can ask for your money back and we will give you 100% of your money back. We are the only company offering that. Your next steps, if you're wondering what your next steps are, here they are. First thing you want to do is you want to download the research guide that I mentioned. It's a 60-page PDF document. Grab some popcorn, curl up on the couch and really dig into that document. It's got a lot of good stuff in there about the industry and the services, and why doctors would want these services and what your kind of revenue would be on all the different services that we have. So a lot of good information in there. If you haven't seen our YouTube page, you definitely want to check that out. It's youtube.com/YABS. We have hundreds of interviews with successful owners out there, and you can hear all of their stories out there on YouTube. There's a screenshot of them right there. We also have a list of references. We have tons of owners all over the country that would be more than happy to tell you their story and answer any questions that you have about the opportunity. So if you want a reference list, reach out to one of our reps and we can get that to you. I mentioned a live demo of our iClaim system. We would be more than happy to show you live on a Zoom how our system is really helping doctors and how easy it is to use as well. It's really cool. So if you want a demo, contact us. We can set that up and show you how it works. Purchase agreement. Once you've done all the previous stuff, the next step is to actually just jump right in and review the purchase agreement so we can send that to you. It's a very simple agreement. It's nothing like a franchise agreement. So you're signing a simple 4-page training and support agreement that states we are going to do whatever the heck we can to help you build your business and market and help you get clients as quickly as possible. That is our goal, is getting you generating revenue as quickly as possible. So check that agreement out. And then after that, you sign the agreement. You tell us how you want to do the funding. We can do cashier's checks, wires, credit cards, whatever you want. The funding is $27,990. Eesh. Hopefully you guys saw that price before on our website, but that is the price. And we are the best opportunity under 30,000 that you will ever see. I can assure you that. If you've been on any franchise websites, the lowest possible investment that you can select is 30,000, and we are under that. Everything else is way higher than that. So when you look at the return on investment potential, I mean, you just can't beat this investment for $27,990. Also, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Our price is going up January 1st. I don't know how much. I can't tell you. I don't know. I don't know. You'll just have to wait and see. But the price is going to be going up January 1st. So you definitely want to try to get your funding together and get going before the end of this year. So that's pretty much it. We're having another webinar next Wednesday. We do these every Wednesday at 4 o'clock Central. We're going to be showing you how, we're just going to be exploring the entire opportunity and answering all your questions and concerns. We're going to tell you everything about how this opportunity works, all the services, the marketing methods, you name it. It's going to be great. So go to our website. You can sign up for next week's webinar, and hopefully we'll see you there. If we did not get to your questions, I'm sorry. We will certainly try to address those offline, or you can send the questions into us, one of the ABS rep that sent you this webinar invite, and we can get those questions answered for you. So thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day, and we will see you next week.